I found out last week that the Danger Element won a Best in Steampunk award from one of the biggest steampunk fan pages on Facebook for the past 2 years in a row. I didn't even know I won the first year. The Danger Element was awarded Best Web Series in 2010 and Best YouTube Channel in 2011. I'm honored by this for the obvious reasons, but I am even more honored for a very specific reason. That reason is that my web series doesn't really follow a lot of the rules that the steampunk community sort of unofficially sets for itself. It just makes it all the more interesting and flattering that the steampunk community would recognize something of itself in a work like mine. I've run into a lot of steampunks that look at my work and they say, "This isn't steampunk." And my response is always, "You're right." I think the major controversy comes from the fact that I don't see steampunk as a genre as much as I see it as an aesthetic element or a design element of my work. The Danger Element incorporates what you might call steampunk into a modern day real world action adventure story, the same way that you might incorporate Buddhism or agriculture into a real world modern day action adventure story. I do that because these are real things in the modern world that can be experienced in real life. For instance, you can put a church into a film and not call it a Christian film. Likewise, you can put a car into a film that incorporates both Art Deco design and futuristic technology without calling it a steampunk film. For one thing, the car actually exists and I can sit in it right now without having to call real life steampunk life. To me, it would be a little bit like actually flying to the moon, coming home, writing a story about it, and then having people complain that it's not proper science fiction because you drove a Ford Escort to the launch pad. I think the origin of my odd understanding of the word steampunk kind of started in this fateful time in my life when Dr. Steele made a silly collaboration video with me. The video was completely ridiculous, but the collaboration kind of drew me deeper into this curiosity about his unusual lifestyle. I didn't know what to call it at the time, it was just unique. It was about the same time I was shooting the first episode of The Danger Element. Then sometime in 2009 I became interested in the work of a fashion designer who goes by the name of Kato. I was in post-production on The Danger Element and she was kind of digging what I was doing too. So we made arrangements to meet in this underground sort of steampunk lounge of sorts called the Edison. So it was right there that my slant on steampunk was sealed. But I saw there wasn't so much a charade or a game or a pastime. It was really a real experience of a kind of lifestyle. The place wasn't like a steampunk funhouse or something. Just like the people, it was this perfect symbiosis of aesthetic design and practicality. It was a mix of old and new, but not for the sake of novelty. It was actually more for the sake of taking the best bits of every age and making kind of the best thing you could out of it. That same night I met several other people besides Kato. Nicholas Bauman, Andrew Fogel from the League of Steam. I think it was actually Andrew's birthday that night. And Miss Zerilgan, who's a brilliant artist in her own right, probably butchering her name. That night Kato and I got to talking about the sort of inadvertent steampunk elements I had put into the first episode of The Danger Element, and she was kind of urging me to continue down that course. The big thing to remember is that this conversation took place inside of the actual practical steampunk environment, surrounded by people who actually build the things that we're talking about. I didn't see it as a suggestion as to what the genre of my film should be as much as to incorporate more of a certain element that's inspired by a real experience. So that's what steampunk is in my universe. It's not the genre of my series or my film, it's just one element. It's my attempt at depicting a real experience that I had with real people on many real summer nights beneath the streets of a very real and modern Los Angeles. So you can imagine my surprise when it turned out that that isn't necessarily what the word steampunk ended up meaning to a lot of people, which gives me even more reason to be honored, surprised, and flattered to receive these awards. And I'd like to express sincere gratitude to a community that has looked beyond popular notions to consider my work as a part of their movement. If you've never seen the Danger Element before, you can see all the existing episodes by clicking in the link below. And also don't forget to subscribe so that you can be informed of the new episodes that are coming out. There's going to be about 16 or 17 in total. So I hope you'll stick with us, and thanks again.